All right, guys, we're going to get rolling on this curious kitty cat. This little curious cat sitting on a table. How long is that vase going to stay on there? Haha. Let's get started. Good morning and welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie and I am here with a fun, curious kitty cat that we drew during the 14-hour marathon last New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2020. If you are interested in seeing the artwork being drawn, check out that video. And if you're interested in painting along with me, I do have my 30 cozy and creative designs on Teespring. It's actually now called Spring. I have to start changing my thought process. I just got an email yesterday that Teespring is now just being known as Spring. So, hey, I'm all excited about that. So anyway, this is available on Spring. The link is over in the chat and it's down below in the more information box. And the links will still work. They are forwarding them to their new location, which is SPRI or SPR.ing. Weird way they're doing the URLs now, but just look for Spring, formerly known as Teespring, I guess. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much. It was fun seeing the chat going by. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I didn't even open it up and show you. So this is all of the pieces of art. So if you want it, you can download it and print it off on any paper you want to use. And you can print it as many times as you want. If you don't have the ability to print, you can get the book on Amazon. And on Amazon, I am starting to put more things with my covers. So who knows? This might become a cat journal or maybe a cat health journal, something like that. Hello, Hasi John. I saw you were here and then you left. Now you're back. And we've got Karen and Lorianne and Brandy and Sue and Tatiana. And wow, a lot of people. Thank you, guys. So we have a really fun reference here. This is the reference that I used right there. Boom. I took out the teacup and the little saucer. I thought it was very pretty, but it kind of didn't fit. This is, cropped down, so it's not as high above his head. So I just moved the little weedy planty thingies down. We are going to go with a very dark background. I am going to do that kind of gradient with the reds on the vase and a dark background or dark wood table underneath of them here. Not very much table there to have to worry about. And then we will be doing it. I'm going to try and do the kitty cat in those sort of soft grays and deep bluey dark gray, maybe a touch of burnt umber in the cat. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it, but since I have time to do it, we're going to. We're going to take our time. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can get there. Now you can get the good side by side. That's the reference. Here's the drawing. And now we're going to get started on the painting. So I'm just going to make him small and kind of keep him over this way, I think. All right. So to get that background going in. Good morning. Welcome, guys. And happy birthday, Miss Kathy Bartosik. Thank you for being here. I love seeing all of your artwork and seeing it pop up at night, right before I go to bed, is always fun. I'm going to, actually, I want to be a little bit careful around the actual plant bits and around the body of the cat. I don't want it to go as dark inside those areas. Get that out of the way. So that means I'm going to be putting my water on the background kind of in a fussy way. I'm going to go over the stems. I'm going to try and go around the little dry flower head things. And I'm looking at this going, I need to shift my lighting. Sorry, I just wiggled the whole camera and everything. Straighten it up. Everything is still on one support bar from the ceiling. Ah, absolutely, Kathy. Welcome and happy day. Happy returns of the day. I hope that everyone who is having a birthday today or any time this month or any time when you're watching this video, that you are having a pleasant day, a day filled with love and self-care, cups of coffee and tea if that's what you drink, cups of whatever you want to drink, good food that you can eat. I'm just getting this wet all around. This is the original artwork that I drew, and it was drawn with the Eco pen. And if you want to know how to get these pens started, I did a quick, in the middle, I'll go and timestamp that. In the middle of yesterday's video, I showed how to get these pens restarted if they aren't working for you. Sometimes they dry, the tip dries before the ink is all gone. So, showed you how to get it going again. And after the video, I will get the playlist up. I'm just going back and getting the paper wet again, because this paper, even though it is not watercolor paper, this is mixed media paper, and it is the Hanamula bamboo mixed media paper. See, this has been here for the whole month. I've been using it for scratch paper. So pens work on it, paint works on it. It's a lot of fun. It's about 110 pound paper, 125 pound paper. It's 265 GSM. It's 90% bamboo and 10% cotton. All right, so that background. I'm looking at that going, it's got, so I'm going to kind of do it really dark at the top and come down here about the middle of his body. I will be making it a lighter color. So I think that it's actually going to have that Prussian blue color. This is the cheap 42 color fan palette that you can get on Amazon. I have a link down below in the more information box for my Amazon affiliate store. You are welcome to use that or not. It's up to you. It's just a convenience. It does earn me a little bit of money in affiliate sales. I'm getting that really dark because I'm thinking I want to make sure that I get really dark up here at the top, and I'm going to work it down. I want to make sure that it's really dark, though. That's not dark enough. So I'm getting that burnt umber brown and the Prussian blue, what I'm calling Prussian blue. There, that's going to be darker. See, a little bit darker. In and around. I might be taking a little bit of gouache in to brighten up those stems, so that way I don't have to worry about it. I guess I could take the gouache in around on the flowers also, but you know what? I'm going to try and keep the little flowers clear. I did wet the background so that the paint can start to move around a little bit. Yeah, Frugal Crafter is an awesome person to watch to get to get your recommendations on watercolors and palettes and things like that. She's done some completely, what do I want to say? She's done some that are like all of her palettes or all the watercolor palettes of a certain kind, like all of her student grade watercolor palettes, all of her professional watercolor palettes. She does all of her brushes. She's going through and doing a bunch of, you know, the all of, so all of her all the pastels, all the pencils, all the watercolor pencils. She's amazing. She's been doing it for so long. I think Lindsay just celebrated her 10-year anniversary on YouTube. See, I need some more color in that. I'm going at kind of an angle right here. I should have left a little bit of this down here open also. But, you know, it's lightening up a little bit down there. Not too worried. Yeah, that's okay. Just working this background in. I just got a new palette yesterday from the company Artistro. I'm going to be checking that one out, their watercolor palette. I just also got their paint pens to test. There, see? I'm just sort of blotting that in. I'm letting it come down, start getting lighter around the cat, but I want it to be dark enough around the kitty so that you can actually see the cat really well. I like that. That's coming in nicely. Yeah, I see about a third of the chat as it's going by, so because I start focusing on the artwork, I'm not as connected to what's going on in the chat. So thank you guys so much for welcoming each other in, and make sure and click that like button. Don't forget, the like button is there so that you can tell me if you are enjoying this particular project. If you want more animals, I need to work on my animals. I need to work on learning how to put them in and how to describe doing it so that people can be successful. You know, I know that I can sit there and work on something for several hours and get it to work, come in, but I want to figure out how to do it so that you guys can do it too. So I'm adding more of the blue to that with just a little bit of the brown. I want to change the hue of that just a smidge. There we go. All right. Yeah, Lindsay's a great place to study up on brands. Definitely. I learn a lot from her almost every time I watch one of her videos. And I watch her videos. I'm like a daily watcher. I watch a lot of Lindsay. Lindsay the Frugal Crafter. I should go in and put her as a mention on this video. I've been talking a lot about her today. I'm just making that gray in the background right there a little bit more blue. See? I'm not too worried about it being a solid, harsh line. I don't mind if I get a little bit of texture down here. I think that this might be the carpet on the floor there. Or maybe it's a concrete surface or something like that. Don't know. Don't know. But it's okay. Oops, sorry. Right over underneath the edge of that kitty. There we go. I want it a little bit darker right there. All right. So I do use, whoopsie, I just realized that I had my palette. That's what happens sometimes, guys. Your palette, you you move things around. More animals, more mythical creatures. Oh, Janet, thank you. Mm, mm. So, this is something that you will have happen to you, right? You've noticed that, haven't you? You'll have something down, you'll be working on it, and then you end up touching it and moving the paint around and things change. Oh, but look at that. Isn't that pretty? I'm making it a little bit darker. It's getting some texture. A little bit of movement in the background. I go with the flow, guys. Don't worry about it being perfect. And I had an awesome comment yesterday on the sunflower video where one of our viewers, one of my valued community members, Shauna, she had said that she had a breakthrough while doing the sunflower painting where she realized that she didn't have to have exactly the same colors as me. And she didn't have to have the same palette. And she didn't have to put things down exactly the same way. And that her painting didn't have to end up looking like mine to be a good painting. Guys, that is a huge breakthrough. That is something that I want everybody to realize. You don't have to end up with a painting that looks exactly like mine. You have to end up with a painting that looks exactly like yours. So cool. All right. See, that actually made it a better. That made it better. That's what we need to do sometimes, is just if something falls on our painting or something causes a interesting mark, sometimes we just have to work with it. I'm going to dry this. I'm going to dry is the word. Oh yeah, Shauna. And that was a beautiful comment. I pinned it at the top of the comments on yesterday's painting because I think it's really important, and I think that it's nice for people to realize these things. Let's see. I'm going to pick that up and move it over just a little bit. There we go. So I'm just drying this, and you can see I've got some blue and that brown tone that makes this really cool looking background. I didn't want it to be a solid wash. I didn't want it to be a flat wash. I wanted it to have some texture in the background because there's stuff going on back there. There's a lot of noise. Noise meaning, there's like that I want to say it's a light gray pillar or something. Maybe it's a space between windows. Oh, that could be what it is. That's the space between two big windows, and it's a nighttime scene. I'm just making a guess. I just made it one solid expanse. But I did this purposefully to have, look at all that pretty texture in the background. And I don't mind that I've got these little sort of almost flower type shapes and stuff. Like I said, I was not going for a flat wash background. We've got that sort of concrete gray color down here. It's just going to be the background. I need to put the tabletop in before I put the vase in. And now the tabletop there, it's like it has a runner, and I did not put the runner on there, did I? You know what? I think we're going to do that. we're going to just have a bit of a runner like this. And the reason why you want that, anybody know? I'll tell you. But the reason why you want that is because you need something light to show that that's a dark, right? So I will use a little bit of the blue-gray to just put a bit of a shadow around it. This is pretty flat lighting. There's no real highlight, sharp light spot. I think there's probably a light coming from right about here, maybe about here. But because I put the vase a little bit closer to that kitty cat, it's going to be interesting, huh? That cat might just be bumping it. I'm painting the Aquarius gnome from the Art Sherpa for my grandson. I'm excited. It's looking good. That's excellent, Darcy. That is a cute gnome. I like the Art Sherpa gnomes. I drew some Art Sherpa gnomes. If you guys haven't already seen, see the Art Sherpa coloring book. Illustrated by me. So let's see here. Where was the gnome? It's really cute. I'm trying to flip through real. Oh, come on. There. So that's the Art Sherpa style of gnome, and then that's how I drew him up. So this little guy here would be perfect for Valentine's. And they do it on a paper that works for watercolor. So you would buy that over on the Art Sherpa website in their store. So put salt on the background and see how that works. Yeah, I tend to do my my fake salt backgrounds, which have the color put down. It sits for a minute or so, and then I splat water onto it, and it makes those pretty little starbursts. So that's how that goes. This is nice and dry now. Well, it's a little cool. It's a little cool right over here. I might dry that a little bit more. Yeah, the Art Sherpa coloring book, it comes as a package, and they include a set of the Create-A-Color Artist Studio watercolor pencils with it for coloring the coloring book. Yeah, the Art Sherpa coloring book is the next one. Yeah, see, I've got the Art Sherpa coloring book, my Floral Mandalas coloring book. This one's available on Amazon, so if you're interested in that. So this has lots of different styles of designs. This is I really like that picture. So this Floral Mandala coloring book is my coloring book, and it's available on Amazon. Glossy cover, and the paper is thinner, so I would recommend using drier medias with it. The colored pencils, a little touch of watercolor pencil, markers work. Everything is just printed on one side of the paper, so you can just slip another sheet of paper in between. So that's another one of my design books. What can I say? I have lots of things. I have lots of things out there, and I want to keep working on more. And thank you guys. Click that like button if you are enjoying this. Remember, the like is showing me that you are enjoying this process. So the table out here is going to be brown, dark brown. The table, because the feet on the cat are lighter, so I can do that. And then this part right here is just going to be pretty much white with a little bit of shadow on it. Yeah, Art Sherpa style is a different style. than my style. And that's cool because we all have different ways that we approach things. We she is, you know, she is a school trained professional artist. I am more of a um, home trained or uh, more of a self trained by watching other people. I just took this kind of rusty brown color and put it into that gray that we were using. Let's see if you can see that. And I'm going to put that down on the table. I think that my style is probably, well, I tend more towards the illustrative, more of an illustration style, I think is what I'd say. I like things to look real ish. I tend to go a little overboard on the details sometimes, which is okay, right? It's okay to go a little overboard on the details sometimes. Let's zoom in on that where we're working. Yeah, a lot of what people say, what you know, when people say that someone is really talented, I know that it's a it's positive. It's an admiration thing, and I appreciate it. I do want you to know though that you can do every single one of these things with practice, and that's practice getting your eye to see, practice getting um, your hand to do what you want it to do. So like this right here, this is a wood tabletop, right? So if you notice, all of my lines, I'm going in one direction. Now, I changed the lines in the on the reference are going a little bit more sideways or a little more diagonal. I'm working this a little less of a diagonal there. I don't want to forget this bit back here because I put it in when I did my little line. So things that I look for, because I've done it for so long, but I haven't done watercolor for so long, but I've been looking, I've been using my eyes to observe the world around me. And you have too. You just have to slow down for a second and think about, what have I learned over the years? What have I seen? What can what can I remember about something? But then what can I see when I look at the actual reference? You notice I have a reference. I am not ever going to tell a person not to use a reference, because when you use a reference, it gives you information that you wouldn't necessarily remember. You know, so some things like where the foot is contacting the table, there will be a bit more of a shadow, right? My lines are still going, even if I'm building them up and going over other lines, my lines are still going in that same direction, and the lines are roughly parallel to each other. They don't have to be parallel to this cloth if you didn't want it to be. Your cloth could have been turned sideways on the table, right? So you can practice looking at how things look. I'm working a little bit darker right underneath of where that foot is. This little space right here is going to get darker. The little space under where the foot is contacting will be darker. But then I'm dragging out from it a little bit also. We're starting to get that look of the wood without really having to do much. I'm going to grab a little bit more of that rusty brown. It's kind of an iron oxide looking color, but I'm mixing it in with that the Prussian blue and the burnt umber. So I'm just working a little bit of that color in. I work all the way from the off the tape in, and make sure you stop kind of in your shadow. So that way you've got long flowing strokes going through until you want to get down to those tiny details. Building it in, building in that wood grain. And my watercolor videos tend to be a little long compared to people. Like, if you want a video that will get you in and out and done, Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter, on here on YouTube, over on Facebook, when the Art Sherpa does her Watercolor Wednesdays, she tends to be an in and out and done. And Cinnamon is different than Lindsay in their styles also. I love that there's so many styles. Ah, well, thank you so much. You know, sometimes we're so tied up in, you know, worried about what other people are going to think about something, that we don't slow down and see how much we really do know already. I'm making a little bit more of a dark color with the blue and the brown, that burnt umber brown, and the rust. And I'm sorry, my lighting is kind of bouncing off of that there. So now you can see how much darker that is. I'm going to go in, and this is going to be just right up close to the foot. I'm going to put some dots. Let's zoom in closer. The cat is looking curious. The cat should look curious. That is the title of this kitty cat, is Curious. I'm just hoping that that curious cat doesn't knock over the vase. But that wouldn't be the cat's fault. That would be the human's fault for putting it on the table where a cat is likely to sit. You know, cats are notorious for perching on things, right? So I'm just giving it a little bit. Now I'm using very short strokes, and I'm just letting it touch and then lifting, touch and then lifting. So we're getting a little bit more of that detail in the wood. I'm saying my wood is maybe a little more weathered table. Maybe this is a little more, what is it? They make these big tables with huge wheels on the bottoms of them that are really chunky, kind of made out of pallet woods and things like that, that the super rich and famous use in their uptown New York lofts. The artsy folks. But see, layering the colors in, we're getting this beautiful wood in here. Getting that shadow in underneath so that the cat looks like, you know, they're connected. They're actually sitting on that surface. Oh, this is making me pretty. Hey, we always have to be learning, guys. Always have to be learning. Let's zoom out on that so we can take a quick, whoops, almost lost that brush. We're going to zoom out so we can take a quick look here. All right. So we've got the wood, the floor, the wall or windows. We need to work on I'm going to put the vase in, and then I'll work in any little shadows on the white cloth after we get going a little bit more. But yeah, I'm just taking a quick, I need to take a zoomed out look at it so that I can see how are we doing. I want to dry that. Oh, you're loving the look of the table better? Yeah, you know, it's a matter of putting in the detail, looking at it, putting in the detail again, looking at it. Because if you look at this, I have some lighter spaces right here. What does that remind you of? That reminds you of the shine on that tabletop right there, which is a light reflection of the cat. That just happened. I did not do it on purpose. Maybe my eye was seeing it and going, oh, maybe we should do that. I don't know. Sometimes magic things happen. There we go. Ashwani, welcome. Thank you. Yeah, I think that wood is one of my favorite things. Wood panels, wood walls, wood stuff. I like the grain. I like the living quality of wood. We're going to come over here and I'm going to put in the vase. We will do some final details on the vase after we do the cat, but I want a bit of the vase in so that I have a place in space. A place in space for the vase. Ooh. Did I just do that? I really did. I am going to soften up. So that's something that we need to pay attention to. Sometimes we'll have these, see how the background kind of came in on the vase there? I'm going to start getting it wet in here and softening that up a little bit. Just tickling it with my brush and then blotting. See how that's softening up that line on the inside of the vase. I don't want to work into the background. I don't want to take any of my background out. But having it work over the vase like this gave me a sense of the vase is in relation to those things because it doesn't look like it was applied on top of it or later. The background doesn't look like it was just added after. I like having a background that's already there. I might go back in and work a little bit more, but I kind of like that soft background that we've got. So there we go. So I've been watching a few other YouTubers that are doing art. Actually, I watch a lot of YouTubers that are doing art, but I've been watching a lot of narrowboat type journey people also. What is it about the narrowboats? Have you guys watched any of those? The narrowboats on the channels in England and Scotland and Wales? The canals? So cool. All right. Thank you, Martha. And Carol, welcome. Yeah, that pose. Okay, for the longest time, this cat just drove me nuts because you don't see the ear on the back side. How many times do you see a cat picture where you only see one ear? That reference right there. That's what I saw. And I drew it live. So I was feeling a little bit on the frustrated side because I was drawing it live and I was not getting it to work out the way I wanted it. And people were like, no, it's looking fine. But my brain was not seeing it yet. I'm going to take just a touch of that brownish tone that we have up there at the top. Really water it down. Basically, I'm going to barely stain this top area here. This is like it looks like a geode, like a stone of some kind. So that's like that tone up here at the top of the geode. It's kind of a breaking through, like somebody carved stone to make this. And then I'm going to dry it. This is going to be... You drew a second ear on your cat. Actually, yeah, the gondolas are in Italy, in the canals, in the canale of Italy. And the narrow boats are in the... my brain just... Well, they're canals also in the UK. In the channels, in the cut. All of the different names they had. They were man-made navigations for boats to take trade before they ever made the... My brain is not working. Before they ever had roads, they had the canals. Ooh, look at that. So now I've got this shiny thing that you can't see. I've got this darker reddy brown down here at the bottom. And then I've got sort of a middle red. I think it's sort of a scarlet and added it to that same brown. We're using colors that are... Whoops, sorry about that. Let's get that focused. Focus. Come on, focus. Focus. There you go. Stay focused. Oh, dogs can be very, very curious also. Kayaks. Yes, I love kayaks. So now what I'm going to do is come up from the bottom with this red-brown. It's my darker red. And my paper is dry right now, because I'm kind of working this out as I go. And working it up as I go. Because I kind of want those overlapping layers of color. Yeah, cats are so interesting. We had a cat, Lucy. She was like a sedative. You put her in your lap and you would fall asleep. It was just the way she would get you to just relax and fall asleep. So I'm just working this in. I'm going to work it up onto a little bit of that creamy color there. Sort of soften that up. And this is, I think this is like a crystal, like a maybe it's a quartz or something. I'm not sure what type of a crystal this would be. See how I just picked up some of the color that was down there at the base? But we're getting that, aren't we? We're getting it worked in. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. This is a natural material. I mean, it's not going to look exactly the same. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the thumbs up, and I appreciate the let's zoom out and take a look. So I need to go much darker down here in the bottom and kind of work it up in, but we're getting that first layer worked on, aren't we? And yeah, my stuff here is a little bit wonky. Your chat is wonky. That is, sometimes you have to go out of chat and come back in. I'm going to lighten up this spot right here. because that's like the reflection of the cloth. Look at that. We're getting the reflection of the cloth in the vase right there. I'm just getting it wet and then blotting it off. I like that. I do want to make a bit of a darker color in this area here and kind of streaking it in and working it up. That looks almost like that churned up ice right up in that area. Let's see if we can. Let's get a little bit of that. I think that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of ice. Even though it's red, that kind of that cloudiness that you get in a ice tray. Hello, Nicole. Welcome. Moonlight McCall. Yay. It's nice to see people coming back in that have found me, this month. Welcome. And people who are coming back in who have been longtime subscribers and are just rediscovering my channel because YouTube is finally starting to share some of my artwork and videos with my subscribers who have been here for a while, but who hadn't seen what I was doing lately. Sorry, I get a little bit sideways distracted. Maybe I just want to be like that cat. And I'm going to take a little bit of that rust color, I think. Mixing that into some of my red. It's just a little bit different version of the color. Darkened it up just a little bit. Now I'm just sort of looking at the structure of the way the color is laid on, but I'm not being a slave to the reference here. It's informing my lines, but it's not dictating my lines. Ooh, how about that? The reference informs my picture. It tells me what things are there in real life and what things I want to pick and choose from. So I am having to make up a little bit of this other side because my perspective is a little bit different than the perspective in the original. Oh, that rust color really helped to deepen up my tone, didn't it? Without making it too dark. So now these are like little glazing strokes. The color is being put on. I'm trying to not interfere with all of this real pretty stuff that's going on, the natural looking things that are happening. You were watching when I was doing resin? Yeah, you started watching when I was doing the acrylic pouring and I was doing some resin work. I didn't do a ton. I've got resin here that I could use. I was finding that the fluid acrylic stuff, people were starting to not be as interested in what I was doing. Everybody looks for the newest thing that's happening. And, well, I wasn't the newest thing happening, although I will say that a lot of the techniques that I was doing are things that people came after me and folks were like, ooh, that's new. That's something I've never seen before. When in fact, months earlier, I was doing the same thing and not getting the views. So, I do know that I have a struggle when it comes to putting the right keywords on things or doing all the tricks and steps that YouTube wants you to hop through. So now I'm focusing on doing things that make me happy. Oh, doesn't that does. It looks so real without having to do a lot. I'm taking a little bit, ever so slightly, a little bit of the color up in here in that lighter tone. Now I'm sure people were like, why is she putting that kind of brown gooey color, putty color up here at the top? But look at it. Now it's working into that layered look. A little bit of that pinkish red going right up onto it. We have some of this right here. I think that we pretty much have that in as well as I want to go right now. I want to get some of that highlight back. Maybe just a touch darker down here at the very bottom. The watercolors are so much better. Oh, thank you, Tatiana. That's something that I've been worried about is, will people think that the watercolor and me doing watercolor when there's so many people out there that already do it, that my watercolors would be, something special and different. And I think mine are because I'm willing to do the live shows. Most people, aside from Lindsay, most people don't do live watercolor because, you're there for a minute when you're doing live. The Art Sherpa does her Watercolor Wednesdays on Facebook, but on YouTube, doing the watercolor is kind of unique. I'm sort of doing that again. I'm doing my unique thing. I'm just working that color up, and see, I'm not going sideways on here. I'm only working up and down because that's the way the structure of this crystal or stone is formed, it's and a light touch. Don't lay down into your brush and do huge swaths of color now. We're down into those detail areas. We're getting some of those, fissures and pools of color that sort of fill the space, give your eye a place to have interest. Now this is a hard shiny surface, and then we're going to be going in and doing a soft and furry surface, right? Okay, so now I did go sideways on my brush. I'm kind of softening up some of those lines. I don't want them to look like stripes. I want them to look like bits of stone that are growing inside, or that grew inside. And every time I'm putting a new color on, I'm intensifying the contrast, aren't I? It intensifies the contrast. That's something most people, when you're doing a watercolor, you don't tend to go far enough with your contrast. And so then it all looks washed out. Where now, so the Dorland's wax medium, yes, I have not used it, but if you do a search for it, it will come up, and it's on my list of things to try. I want to see if it changes the look any of the watercolor, because I don't really want it to change the look of my watercolor. But if I can seal it, and then I can make postcards and send them out, because I want to send postcards out with the artwork. I might try it and see if I do prints, if sealing the prints with that Dorland's wax, you know, the prints on good quality watercolor paper with my Canon printer, because my printer will print on watercolor paper, but I have to find the right combination of watercolor paper and oh, look at that. Oh. The right combination of watercolor paper and my printer to make sure that it doesn't fade. And I know that there are some watercolor papers that are made for my style of inkjet printer. I just have to find them. Wow. Oh my gosh, wow. All right. Yes, you can put glass against your works to display. If you're just what I would do is I would use a mat. So when you're doing your when you're framing your artwork, if you're framing artwork that's on paper, what you want to do is just use one layer of mat. Make sure your print or your paper is really, really flat. If it's bumpy, this is bumpy right now. You see how that's, I don't know if you can really see. Yeah, there, you can see how bumpy that is right now. What I would do is spray the backside with a light mist of water. This is just an old eyeglass sprayer. Spray the back of it with water and then very light, and put it down on to cover. Put it down and cover with books, heavy, and wait until it's nice and flat. If you are doing, but that's for works on paper, like just matte and frame under a UV protecting glass. If you're doing acrylic, you don't put glass over acrylics. If you do, and nothing's saying you can't, but if you do put glass over acrylic, what you have to do is have the painting basically suspended under the glass, kind of like a shadow box. So if you had a really deep box type frame where the glass is up against the top edge here, and your painting is down here, you see? So that way the painting could never come in contact with the glass. And that keeps dust off, But nice thing about acrylics, they're plastic. You can wipe them off. There we go. All right, so now we're getting ready to go on to the cat. And I'm looking at this cat. So what is the base color of this cat? The base color of this cat is pretty much that burnt umber, really watered down. Let's take a look at the kitty. Let's take a look at that cat. We want to make sure that we get. So it's the kitty is very cool colored. The kitty cat is very much in the tones that's in the background here, isn't it? And looking at that, I might want to push my background a little bit darker, or keep my cat really to the light side. So yeah, there we go. So we're gonna work on that cat. Whoops! I just bumped my camera that's up above me here. Make sure that I keep it framed up. I am recording on my phone this whole thing so that I can make a 1-minute speed video. Yeah, I take a 2-hour video and make it into a 1-minute speed video. Or yesterday, I took a 2.5-hour video and cut it down and make it into a 1-minute speed video. Light side for the cat. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so what I'm going to do to start off with on the kitty cat, I'm going to take some of that burnt umber color. I'm going to take a little bit of water and clean off most of that. ruddy brown color. So we've got a room to put. I am going to get a lot of water. See, this is a ton of water. I'm basically going to stain the paper, and it's going to look really dark to start off with, but it won't be because I'm going to move it around. I'm going to stain the paper where the cat is. So that way I've got color down. So if in my process here, I don't end up putting color everywhere, I've got color everywhere. So this first off is just basically giving me a stain on the paper, just giving it a little bit of color. Just like that. Okay. Working it all the way up to the background. So that way I don't have that little halo edge. And I need to make the reference a little smaller. There. So you don't think about this as I am painting a cat. You think about this as where are the lights and where are the darks, right? The reason why you do that is then you don't get all tangled up in the idea of I need to make this look like a cat. You could push, I can push that background a lot darker, but by having that first background in, I've got an idea. It's, I want to keep the cat lighter than this background in the overall scheme of things. But then I can always push the background darker. I think that's a really good point, Tatiana, is that, you can work the cat in and then put the background in even darker. But by doing it this way, I know that the background, that I can work the cat in and work the background up to it and not end up having that, oh my gosh, I'm going to mess up the entire painting after, 2 hours. So, and we're only an hour in right now. I don't know how long it's going to take for real. I'm hoping that we can work this little guy in and keep it a reasonable amount of time. I'm looking at this now. We've got this gray color. So I'm taking that Prussian blue and that burnt umber, and which is the same colors that I used in the background, isn't it? And I'm just mixing that up. You want to mix enough of the Prussian blue and burnt umber so you don't have to keep going back and mixing more. So there. I'm telling this to myself. I don't want it to be green. So a little more burnt umber in that. That's why I'm not doing it with the burnt sienna, because the burnt sienna has enough yellow in it, or orangey tone in it, that it tends to be a little bit greener. This is nice. So this is my darkest color, and I'm going to take it down here, right over the top of that foot. We'll come back in and put the little hairs and stuff. But I'm just kind of working my colors now, trying to get an idea. That leg is a little bit deeper in. Actually, I'm saying that this is part of that belly part that hangs down on a cat, and then that's part of a foot back there, but you're not really going to see it, so it can be pretty dark. We've got some of that dark coming up. I'm going to soften my colors here in just a second with just a clean brush, because really up here under the chin is not as dark as this, but I'm just working in kind of those ideas of where some color is. It would be like doing, kind of putting in paint by number blocking. All right, I want to soften up some of those colors before they get too attached to where they are. So I am going to soften that, pull it down, and then I'm coming back up just a bit and softening that just with a clean wet brush. Magic in hands. Fantastic art. Thank you for sharing. Thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. You know, it's always an interesting time coming in and doing art live. Sharing art live with people like this. Looking at that, going, I want to make sure and keep that top, I get that top edge. I may have to come in with a little bit of a colored pencil. I might do that. Come in with just a white colored pencil or a gray when I'm doing some of those final details. Now I'm softening those colors up. Look at that. Softening it up, moving them around. The pigment is on the paper, so I can pick it up and start moving it around. This isn't a statue of a cat. It's a real live cat. So I want it to feel like it could jump off the table. Now I'm working on this really close up, so I need to slow down and stop and look. This little bit of gray right here needs to come around a little bit more. I got that a little too dark right in there. So look at that. You can pick it up with your paper towel, kitchen towel, paper towel, cloth, t-shirt. See, I want to drag a little bit of that. Oh, I see. I dabbed it with a little bit of my paper towel that had some of the red on it. I'm going, how did I get red on there? So back here is going to be a little darker. Pick up my darker color again. My paper is wet, so it's allowing the color to drift. So right here, I'm going to say I want it to be a bit darker. I'm just going to dab the color in and let it drift. Paper is wet. Gives you sometimes a little bit more of an organic feel. Okay, this is making me really happy. This is coming in. It is coming in. I'm going to put a little bit darker in around the toes. Kind of under the foot. Ah, that's one of the things about this paper is so cool. This paper, when you're using these natural colors like this, they really seem to lift and move. So I'm not worried about it being, getting that, as you say, that kind of crust. Neat thing about it is that part of the watercolor look, you get that bit of that cloudiness thing going on. I am going to say that right here, right up against the vase, the cat might be a little bit darker. So you may have thought that my color choice for that base color was a little bit weird, but it's actually working in really, really well. So see right here where the color is kind of, as you say, kind of that crust going? I can soften it. This bamboo paper is lovely for lifting and moving your colors. But remember, it lifts and moves your colors. So if you are happy with an area, don't go back and mess with it. And there's a certain amount of, you know, I could just leave it. Let's just look at it in the long range out here. Ah, Carol, take care of yourself. Take care. Turn off all the electronics. Losing your electric is always a pain. So I'm looking at this going, I want a darker spot right here. A little bit darker there, coming up. Has a little bit of a patch under his eye. This is not going to look exactly like that cat, right? I may come back in right there. Yep, his little neck here needs to be way darker right there. So I'm just going to start working this background in around his head right there. Oh my goodness, look at that. We were able to do that. Even though there was a pen line there, don't worry about it. Just ignore the pen line. Sometimes you just have to ignore those lines. I'm going to say that it's a little darker right there even. Hello, Leong. I'm not sure. You might be writing in another language, and so I'm not sure what you are. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're saying, so I'm going to have to probably just say time out for now. And if you could make sure that you are putting words in that we can read. And if you put words in that we can read that are appropriate, it will show up. So there we go. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, Phyllis, is that spammer, which is, you know, we're right about the we're right about that time when YouTube does start to actually start showing my video out into more of the world. I want to lighten up that little bit of his face right there, because I don't want his chin to be completely. Oh, there it goes. See, just lighten up that spot just a little bit and went pop. Popped forward. I'm going to lighten up that little bit right there. Soften this up here. I'm going to zoom back here in just a second, guys. I had to zoom out so that I could see what's going on here. But I wanted to see how I'm liking this right here. I think it's going okay, but I need to pull some of that darker color right up into that fluff. We've got that fluff coming up here. pull that darker right up into there. All right. Thank you so much, Mary. If you are enjoying this, guys, and you just came in, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And I hope that you will click that like button. Make sure that you check out my upcoming videos. I have more videos coming up in this series. We still have this pretty vase and the cinnamon bun and coffee. Oh, that's gonna be good. We have a lovely cake. And I just realized that in the Amazon printed book, I think I forgot the cake. So I am going to be putting this cake picture on my website so that people, it's going to be a free downloadable picture. So if you are interested in painting along with me and you don't want to buy the download book, or you already bought the Amazon coloring book and I forgot that picture in there. So I'm putting this up on my website really soon so that people will be able to have that picture. Wow. Okay, I want to dry this guy off here. Thank you so much, Tatiana. I know you were really looking forward to the cat, weren't you? I'm really, really happy so far with how this is going. I want to lighten up through here just a bit, get a little bit more light, and then start getting those the little tabby stripes on. So I did purposefully leave this area up here right around the eye unpainted. And we don't have much color on the nose. I'm going to make sure the inside of the nostrils is really dark, but I'll probably take that in with the, my brain just went dead, with the pen or a colored pencil. So I'm taking the Prussian blue and this is sort of a Prussian blue and burnt umber kind of day, isn't it? Get my really dark gray. And we're going to zoom in closer. You were contemplating how I was contemplating how I was going to approach the cat also, because I don't paint living things very often, critters. So this is, like I said, I'm not painting a cat. I'm painting light and dark. I'm painting shadows. I'm painting highlights. I'm looking at, where's the color? How does it go on? I'm, starting to put some of these little stripey bits in, but look, I'm not just making a stripe. I'm not doing a straight stripe on. I am kind of looking at the flow of the color. I'm looking at the fluff of the fur. I'm looking at, there's areas here where the color kind of comes around and touches itself on the stripes. Some of these spots might be a little more cloud-like, almost leopardy. That's about as far down as I want to go on that one. I'm going to come over here and start working that dark bit there out just a little. And maybe darker right down inside. Just working on light and dark. Where do I see some light colors? Where do I see some dark colors? Not too worried about making it a perfect representation. So the fur on his legs is pretty much going, with the leg, right? The fur on his chest, this little bit here, this is kind of fluffling out just a little and coming around. Fluffling. Yeah, that's one of my words. I will make up words for whatever it is that I'm working on. I see a bit of a stripe right here. And still some of that color, it's still just color. It's still just light and dark. Where's the light? Where's the dark? Where's the texture? Don't put it in hard stripes, because it's individual hairs that are colored that are clumped together to make those stripes, right? So when you're putting your color on, you're not painting each individual hair. You're painting an area of color, but you are also I just lost where I was going. You're painting areas of light and dark. You're painting those in. And just being mindful of the way the hair grows. And letting it have some texture. I'm looking at that going, I think I'm going to pull that stripy over just a little bit. And then maybe make him a little bit darker. So there we go. Just putting in little spots, texture, areas of texture and color, but not worrying about it being perfectly connected. Now you have to paint the kitty. Ah, thank you. So I'm looking at that. I'm just, this is very meditative. This is something that you can, when you're going in and doing, you could stop at any point that makes you happy. I could have stopped. Does that sound like an addict? I could have stopped any time. I just kept going. I'm a watercolor addict right now. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to smooth out some of that just with whatever color is in my brush. If you start getting an area that looks a little too fussy, like I did right there, just flatten your brush, just take the flat of your brush across it just a little bit, soften it up. I need to be careful because if I get to the point where I start working it too much, I will lose that freshness of him. This bit right here is feeling a little bit overworked, so I'm just going to touch and dab. I'm touching with just clean white paper, or clean wet water. Wet water. I like to use wet water. Dry water is really hard to do watercolor with. There we go. Okay, I'm looking at this bit right here and going, I got it too dark. That's what it was. So let's just soften it up, blot it out. Oh, there we go. There we go. See, just like this part right here is a little bit too dark. This is where the sculpting comes in. Don't scrub your paper. Don't scrub on it because you don't want to tear it or work it so much that it looks like you know, made a mistake and overworked it. I'm just getting that wet and softening in some of those highlights. Ah, see, that's what it was, is I stopped looking at my highlights. There. Okay, see? Put the color on. Take some color off. Soften it with a little bit of water. Look at that. Oh, that's coming together so well. I want to soften up these little leg stripies just a bit. I'm just softening. I'm not taking the color away. I'm just sort of softening the edges of it, so it looks a little bit more like they're attached. A little bit of light and shadow. Oh my gosh. Sometimes less is more. Many times less is more. More often than not, less is more. So let's go ahead and dry. Oh, yeah. So let's see here. I'm looking at that going, this little bit right here needs to be softened in. Just a wet brush. Kind of moving that color just a little bit. Getting that shadow up under his chin, so that way it feels like and then a bit, it feels like there's some shape here. A little bit more shadow right up under. A little bit darker right there. Right there. So I see that edge on the side. See, I'm looking at this just going and saying, this little bit right here needs to lighten up. Just lighten up there. So I'm getting it wet. I'm just wiping the brush off and I'm just getting it wet. Yeah, that's looking better. See, sometimes you just little touches. It doesn't take a lot. Sometimes just those little touches. I am really enjoying that. I think we're going to grab just a smidge of gouache. And let's see here. Where did I set my? There it is. Smidge of gouache. And put those kind of little creamy colored. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow ochre and gouache to get that kind of parchment-y. And I'm not too worried. I'm getting a little bit of gouache on that. Not a big deal. I'm going to just kind of around the edges and very lightly. See how that's just pulling those little guys in? Sometimes you have to just say, I need to work on something else for a second, just to see if there is anything else I need to do on that cat. I want to let the cat just sort of rest for a minute. So I'm moving over and just throwing a little bit of gouache onto these sort of dried, papery seed pods. They're very abstracty. I am going to put some gouache on the same color basically onto the stems. I'm not going to go in and be too fussy with the details on these. They're just a little supporting character. And there's just a tiny little bit of gouache in the tip of my brush. So if you have one tube of gouache, get a white, and then you can use any of your watercolors and make it into an opaque watercolor with a nice little tube of white gouache. I'm using the Arteza gouache. So Arteza. I think it's Arteza. The Arteza gouache, and then I'm going to take a little bit of just the white on there and sort of give it a little bit of a highlight here and there. Not doing anything too crazy. You've had some days. Yeah. Oh, I have days. I have days. I have days. I have days that I absolutely love. I have days that I would never want to run again. But every day is a day that we are learning, we are growing, even if it's a lesson we don't want to learn. So there. I am going to... you have the Arteza gouache, but you've never used it. Oh, yeah. So if anybody... I do have a code down below in the more information box for the Arteza products. It is an affiliate code. I do earn a small commission if you use my coupon code when you make a purchase. And it is... down below. It should be. It's Deliberately Creative 15 right now, and it's good through, I think it's the 17th of February. So just as a by the way, let's see here. I am looking for one of my liner brushes, I think. There we go. I'm going to take a liner brush. This is a long, skinny, this was the number 12 Mimic Creative Mark watercolor brush. Mimic being it's a squirrel substitute. And this is the number 1 liner that I'm picking up right now. Yeah, dry water sucks. It does. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing some of that gouache and my long liner brush. You see how I'm twirling the brush? I'm twisting it in my hand as I'm pulling back. And I'm going to just kind of follow the lines. Maybe add a little bit of a spikiness right there for it to be attached. A little bit of a spikiness. This is, just, how do I want to say, very loose. I do have pen lines there, but I wanted to show that, there might be a little bit of some highlight hitting those. Maybe, let's see. Maybe putting a little bit of a double outline on some of those spots, letting the pen or the paintbrush kind of flick around a little bit. It doesn't need to be something that's super, super defined. I'm kind of sketching with the tip of that brush. I'm letting it do some texture. I am enjoying that. Oh my gosh. It's making it feel more a little more loose, a little more loosey-goosey. That's fun. Oh, that is a lot of fun. Maybe even taking a little bit of that sketchy quality, kind of sketching around some of these little seed heads, flower heads, going outside of the edge. Not worrying about it, just having a good time, actually. You could do this with a pen. Yes, you could do this with like a white Posca pen or something like that. I like the quality of this gouache and the ability for it to be opaque and be transparent. You do need to have a certain amount of water in your brush when you're using a liner. And I am probably not using my liner exactly correctly because I am really down deep on the brush. I think if I'm back a little bit more, you actually have more control over it if you're back farther. There we go. I like that. Actually, I think even though you don't see that much of a highlight, I'm going to say that there's a bit of a highlight maybe right here. Just a little touch. And maybe just a little touch of it right across the top. You're not even going to hardly see that. Maybe a slight glow down there at the bottom. Darkening on the left side of the kitty. Yeah, the wall and such here is going to need to be darker, or I need to lighten the edge of the cat. And one of the ways to lighten the edge of the cat, let's see, not that bag. Go looking through, see if I can find my white, not that bag. I might, well, I can try the Arteza white is not, the Arteza white colored pencil really isn't super dark or pigmented. Nah, that's not gonna help me there. I need my white Prismacolor. Or I could take my Micron. Nah, I want to make it darker. This needs to be darker. So let's go in and do that darker. Let's dry. Make sure that everything is dry before you go in. And we will zoom out. Yeah, this just needs to darken up here. I just want to make sure everything is dry before I go in and start working on that background. I probably will take that white gouache again and put his whiskers in. That will actually make him stand out more also, but yeah. Just looking. Don't know where I put that white Prismacolor. That is so weird. Oh well. We are going to go in and put another layer of dark in on that background. So I'm going to make a big puddle of it. Lots of Prussian blue. And burnt umber. Because we want it to be that dark blue-gray. I'm going to say that this side over here is going to be much darker and it's going to fade into that lighter stuff there. So let's see. I think I want to get, I'm going to get this wet right around here. I just picked up a random brush just to get it wet because I already loaded my brush up with. There we go. I already loaded my brush up with the dark color, so there we go. Hey there, Linda. Welcome. So glad you're painting along with me. Wow. I hope I'm not going too fast or too slow. Okay, so now my edge of the, I'm going to actually take that down a little farther on the floor too. There we go. That makes me feel better. The edge here where it was taped down, you notice the clarifying phrase of was taped down is not taped down anymore. So that is going to leak under the tape, and my margin is not going to be as pretty, but I can just trim it up. I'm going to just soften that. Right like that. Hey Mark, did you find a white Prismacolor pencil maybe? You're looking? None in the box? Well, we had a box of them. Sorry guys, I'm chatting to my husband in the other room. No, they were in your, I think they were in your toolbox. Problem when you've got multiple people who do art in a house. Things find different different homes. Different people touch stuff. Okay, so I'm just trying to get that to softly blend over without being too hard. There we go. We're going to dry it and see if we got it dark enough. Yeah, I've got a few people that like to paint along, and I think that is awesome. I am not the fastest painter. So it's not as scary to paint along with me as it might be to paint along with Ginger Cook, who does acrylic painting. She can be very speedy. Cinnamon Cooney can be very speedy. Fast watercolor would be Lindsay. Lindsay can do very, very speedy things. Yeah, so it's really nice to see all you guys in here. If you are liking this, make sure and click that like button, guys. If you are interested in painting along with me, I have a few more days of this project, of the 30 cozy and creative paintings. And the next one up, I believe, is the peony in the vase. Yeah. Next one up will be this one. And so, ooh, look at that. Here, you've got this is where we started. This is what we used as a reference. Thank you. This is what we used as a reference. Sorry, right there. And this is where we are. I don't think we're doing too bad. So this was in the coloring book, right? You can go in and cut these pages out of the coloring book. Just use a scalpel or a sharp blade, very sharp blade, razor blade knife, and cut your pages out of the coloring book. Don't make this into a precious thing, guys. It's not a very expensive book. So cut the pages out. That way you've got it outside the book. You can color on it more easily. You can also use it to put underneath of your watercolor paper and shine a light so that you can transfer it onto your watercolor. If you take it out of the book and you can make photocopies for yourself. Don't sell them, don't give them away, don't use them in a class that you're teaching from my book. But you can make a photocopy of it and then rub the back of it with graphite and then trace it onto your watercolor paper. So, you know, not too bad. I'm pretty excited. All right, so Mark found me a colored pencil. So we're going to see about, oh, cute kitty. Kitty. All right, so the edges of the cat kind of stick out into that, just like that, right? This is a tiny little piece of a watercolor, of a regular Prismacolor color pencil. See, look at that. We're just giving them a little bit of some fuzzy texture. Let those little furs just come out. So that's lightening him up along that edge, which then again makes that background feel a little bit darker, right? I am going to put his whiskers in. I'm looking here going, okay, so we've got a little bit of that fur right here. Practice. It's all practice. Everything we do is practice. Even your paintings that are you're most proud of, they're still practice, right? And your paintings that you're not as proud of, they're still practice. So it's okay. There. This is a teeny tiny bit of a watercolor or a regular color pencil. I've got pencil holders around here somewhere. Luckily, I have very small hands. So this is a mixed media painting now. Adding the watercolor. Well, it always was because it's a pen and ink. And I do rotate my brush. I rotate my pencil to keep a sharp point. Some of those areas where there's between the stripes, a little bit of just a touch. I'm not really going crazy here, guys. There's that little pocket bit down here. Maybe a touch of some just, well, it's very, very white in the actual reference. It's very light inside that. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to mess with it. There's a touch of some white right here on the eye. It's much darker. I'm just going to grab my pen and go much darker right in there. And then I'm going to take my pencil and that space. See what I did there? I blurred that out just a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of the lighter color. I don't want it to be too bright, but I do want a bit lighter. So I could have taken gouache in there. Now I'm going to see. Ooh. We're going to get some of those eyebrow whiskers in there. We're going to rotate. We're going to get some of these. This is the long and whiskery whiskers. And we don't really see them on this side here outside. So I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of, like a little bit of highlight there. Oh, this is so cute. This kitty doesn't have a pink nose. In the picture, it doesn't have a pink nose. I mean, we could make it ever so slightly. Take a little tiny touch of my brush had some of that really dark color on it, and I guess that's okay. Tiny touch of magenta with a little bit of that dark. We can do that, and we can put a tiny hint of pink inside the ear, and then we're going to dab it off. So it's just barely a stain of color. Oh, that is so pretty. So let's go ahead and turn off the reference picture. Rinse out the brush. Dry it off. I am going to, I was going to put just a tiny bit of a shadow on this cloth, so it doesn't look like it was just a random white space left. Oh, look at that. A little bit of a shadow. The cat's kind of pushed it up a little bit, so it's not as perfect anymore, right? Not as perfect and flat. Okay. Oh yeah, I was grabbing the pen so that I could do my signature. Where am I going to put the signature on this one? I think it's going to go on the vase. Just there. Little maker's mark, right? Okay. Tape coming off. Now remember, it's not going to be as ooh-ahing because we did have a little leakage underneath of some of the tape, but it's going to be pretty good. I am excited. I love how this kitty turned out. So now that I see it and I can go, ooh yeah, I love how it turned out. Now I can say, I was really, really scared about doing this one in front of everybody. You know, it was because I don't do things like this in real life very often. I love him. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Remember, this is part of my 30 Cozy and Creative Designs. It is available on Amazon and on Spring. You can click the link over in the chat down below in the more information, and shortly after the video is over, up in the iCard. For the downloadable book, there's also the Cozy Creative Designs coloring book on Amazon. Oh, and if you are looking for a quick little project to do, maybe with the kids, if you have kids who need to make Valentines to drop at school, or you want to do this for your friends, 8 Reasons Why You're Awesome. And it's a quick little downloadable project pack on Spring. So it's got this, you're the reason someone has room to grow. You're the reason someone is moving forward in life. You are the reason someone chose happiness over fear. You're the reason someone feels heard. You're the reason someone feels blessed. You're the reason someone is inspired. You are the reason someone smiled today. And you are the reason someone feels loved. So it's not mushy. It's not a mushy Valentine. It's just 8 reasons why you're awesome. And it's a downloadable, easy folding book. So the pages are that quick fold, single page, folded accordion, both directions, make a cut, and it makes it into a little book. That's available on Spring also. I just had to share. Thank you guys. Remember to like and leave me comments. Let me know if you are enjoying this and what types of animals. I know I had some people saying they'd like some fantasy creatures or maybe some whimsical creatures. I know we need to do some dogs. Maybe a deer, maybe some more birds. What do you guys want to do? And I am working on my little houses and cottages project, hoping that I can get it done by the end of February so it'll be ready in March. So make sure that you are in the know. Whenever I post a new video, you can go in and click the reminder button if you are so inclined. Thank you. Go out and do something creative. Take care of yourself so you can take care of others. And I want to see you back here again really soon. Oh, I love how this turned out.